Hello, Eddie.
Hello.
I'm in your fabulous suite at the Sunset Tower Hotel. Am I allowed to say that? Will you be gone?
Please, no, please.
I won't. Yeah.
We're up on the roof of the Sunset Tower Hotel. It feels very lovely.
I'm going to take advantage of this thing, and I'm just going to show you that there's this fabulous window with a fabulous view. That's sort of cool. Now that I've painstakingly created the framing I was looking for. Okay, there we go. So tell me, I saw the first, I believe it was one of the first screenings of the movie. It was at the Screen Actors Guild, and you and Amanda Seyfried and Samantha Barks and
I
Tom
think it was
Cooper.
the actual first screening. So it was, which was genuinely, I think, probably the most terrifying screening of a film I've ever seen. There was this weird thing. Well, this weird thing happened with Lem is that because it has such a weight of fans and people who love it, and they've seen it since they were kids, they've grown up, they've seen it several times on stage, and we are the sort of cast that Tom accrued was a group of those sort of fanatics. It meant that you felt this sense of responsibility for all those fans out there, but also on one shoulder, but then also on the other shoulder, the weight of your own expectation. And so seeing that, always watching a film for the first time, I find kind of hideous, because all you can see is your flaws.
But
also
that one you're singing
exactly.
in extreme close-up, in these unforgiving, I mean, it must have been terrifying for any of those actors, because there's no, you're not escaping it in any way. The editor isn't saving you.
Absolutely. And the way that Tom chose to do it, to have to play a lot of the songs through one take, you know, he was almost sort of exulting in the flaws, as it were, within the voice or the and so, which I think really works to the film's sort of testament, but at the same point it feels very exposing the first time you see it.
Well, it struck me that being a theater actor would be an advantage in this situation. First of all, in terms of controlling your fear.
Yeah.
And secondly, controlling that exposure. I mean, you're used to being naked on stage every time, right?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the difference, though, the difference in fear is that on stage you can go and sort it the next night, and that is a reason why, for example, when I did Red, we did a John Logan play, we did it in London and then New York, and for quite an extended period, and people always go, how can you do it for so long? Does it not get repetitious? And the answer is, you never get it right, so you can always go back and the next day you go and try it, you aspire, as it were, for the perfection of it. But with film, there's a different type of fear on this, which is very specific to the fact that it was one day, particularly for the big scenes when you had one song, you sort of had a morning, and you knew that you were going to go home in the car that day, and that was it. That was your chance gone. And if you've grown up listening to that music, that sense of expectation and it being out of your control to sort, you know, felt sort of extreme, but with it, and certainly I find for more emotional stuff, when your body is, when you haven't been able to sleep the night before, when adrenaline is pumping through your veins, the weird hybrid of like a huge studio at Pinewood, like a massive room, and yet you're in a tiny part of the set with three cameramen for empty chairs and tables, which was my characteristic, it was a sort of closed set, and then the director behind, and just this tiny piano playing in your ear. There are all these weird energies playing against each other, and
you can't show that the adrenaline is pumping.
Exactly, but you have to try and hold it back, and that I find, particularly given that the song is quite explosive in some ways. It's about a guy repressing his own guilt and his sense of frustration that then gets released. I try to use all of those tensions and try and make them somehow sort of meld, but interestingly in that piece, so what I'm trying to say is I suppose it can be helpful, some of that stuff, because it creates a weird amalgam of things inside you that then if you try and control, it creates a sort of interesting energy, I think.
It works.
Oh, good.
I think it works a lot.
Thank you very much.
And I thought, now, were you one of the least established singers of the main cast?
Yeah, I mean, I sang a lot when I was a kid, so I knew I had a sort of background in it, but I hadn't sung for 10, 12 years other than, you know, in the shower or
karaoke.
Drunk and karaoke, exactly, yeah. So, but what is wonderful about the job that we do is that on Les Mis, I got to learn how to arm, sort of put together and rearm muskets, 19th century muskets, or the horse aspect of it, and here, of course, the most challenging part of it was the vocal one, and it was like a physical transformation. It was sort of 4 months of working with a vocal coach to be able to have the basically the stamina to be able to do.
How many takes did you have to do on that song?
On that song, we did 21 takes, yeah, and it was.
That's a lot.
It was a lot of takes, but you know what? When the stakes were that high, it was me that kept pushing to do more, because you just want to know that you've rinsed everything. You've given Tom as much as you possibly can to.
Well, how long is the song?
The song's probably only 3 minutes or 4 minutes. But what was interesting again is when my first ever job, or proper job in the States, was a film called The Good Shepherd, which Robert De Niro directed, and the way he likes to play emotional scenes. I remember doing a couple of scenes with Matt Damon on that, and he would push the emotion through the scene and then keep the camera rolling, and you would go back into the beginning of the scene and play through it again. So it's as if you're taking where you've finished the end piece and you're taking that emotional energy and putting it to the front of and so I asked Tom, with Empty Chairs and Empty Tables, because the song starts at a place of high stakes and of a guy crushed already, if we could use that, and something about the cyclical nature of it, of that way of filming, made it easier to do 20 takes rather than.
Now, Anne Hathaway nailed hers in 8.
Yeah, I know. But then she is a genius. So she is. It was so interesting though, because you would hear on. I've never been on a film set where the sense of collaboration was so extraordinary, because none of us knew what we were doing. It felt completely new to all of us, to everyone, and so this sense of what we learnt through the process, like if Annie had a day or two filming and had learnt something about something that she had found helpful, whether to sing with one earpiece or 2 earpieces, because if you have 2 earpieces then you can't hear yourself, but you get more immersed in the world of what's playing the piano. But so all these various technical things we would sort of help each other out with. And
well, let's explain what people are. There's a guy behind a monitor, right?
Yeah.
A live video feed, and he's playing live to you and tuning into your timing and your emotions.
Exactly.
As if you were on a stage rehearsing for the theater.
Absolutely true. Except what you've got to understand is he's playing an electric piano. There were 2 accompanists, Jen and Roger, and depending on what day, that one of them would be playing electric piano, but it plays silently. So you don't, as it were, in the studio, if you came in as a spectator, you would just hear someone singing unaccompanied, and it's playing into our ear, and they are watching monitors, as you say, so we are controlling the song, as it were, rather than the song controlling us, and it gave us an immense freedom. And in post-production, this track was replaced by an orchestra, and I mean, so the thing that I really feel like these guys, Jennifer and Roger, were like the other character in the scene. They were the unspoken heroes of the film in some way, because they had to just, every take, they had to be, I might choose to slow down, to stop, to take a moment to, they had to be incredibly sensitive, and yet, of course, in the film, they're replaced by a 70-piece orchestra. They got not much to show for it.
So you said that one of the things that helped you or abashed you, made you feel abashed at the beginning, was that a lot of the people you're part of that group of rabble-rousers that are building the barricades and everything, and a lot of the people playing those parts were from the Broadway show. Yeah,
from the West End. They were. I mean, I knew they were all from the West End, but I only sort of found out on day 3 or 4 of filming that a good 20-30% of them had played Marius. So, and fortunately, they were a wonderfully generous group of guys, and I genuinely became a point where I'd go, Alistair, how did you make that bit work? Any ideas? So I was trying to sort of.
And you felt like they were rooting for you.
They were very kind. I remember there was sort of one moment at the rap party when everyone, when one of the guys came up and he was like, Ed, I just have to say you've improved so much. At which point I wanted to take a gun to my head and think, oh God, what did I shoot for the first 6 weeks? But no, they were generally they were incredibly generous.
And Samantha Barks was an old pro
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
You know,
And I mean,
so you were working very closely with her, having played that part.